Good evening. How are you? Well, I feel like I'm in a steam bath. Jefferson says that our temperature is 74. About an hour and a half ago, it was 84. We had a tremendous rainstorm. And the humidity is 89, which sort of classifies it for feeling like you're sitting in a very soggy place. Should be in a bathing suit near a pool that you can just slide into, but that's not where I am right now today. The wind is stagnant at 4 miles an hour. So somewhat like our nation, old tricks die hard. Trump's trick is to sort of invite a person into his inner circle, suck out his brain, and then hurl them away, attacking him and diminishing him or her or an entity in any way he can. He's done this at least since we've seen him in 2015, and before that he did that more privately in his corrupt building practices and failed casino. So this is whom we have. Our people elected him, in part because a guy named Musk bankrolled him, perhaps to torture all manner of lie into a victory. Still not a majority, but winning is winning. And someday we'll know what was really going on in that election. Right now, we watch the foundation of America get chewed away by Trump and his loyal and corrupt maggots. And they're all loyal and they're all corrupt until he needs them no more, and then he turns on them. And I think of poetry in which the force of the poem is that it's turned on the individuals, and that's what he's done. Now, I think the Trump we know is not very far removed from his dad, who apparently was as close to being an American Nazi as was possible. And we've heard of him knowing that the reading by his book stand was Hitler's speeches, and he dreams himself as a modern day monarch who is smarter than everybody else, though he's not, which is often a problem with people who know little but think they know much. Remember W. Bush, that guy? And how he played perhaps dumber than he was to the crowd. And Trump, because he is dumb, I think he does strike a chord, and it's simple. So he can say things like, I love the ignorant voters. Well, he does, no question about it, because they don't question his bullshit, and they believe the most fantastic conspiracies. But there's a price to pay for this method of leadership, since he doesn't just want to prevail in the system as it was, but into the one he's transmorgifying it into a place of absolute rule where there's little place for people from without the country, and those who are here are unpleasant to him, and those who think are unpleasant to him because he can't do that. And we have had anti-intellectual movements in America before, and they were coterminous to some extent with the McCarthy era, in which people watched their reputations and lives disappear before them just for speaking their mind. And we're seeing this pushback here and now. So the biggest breakthrough into the inner circle of corrupt maggots is the relationship, the bonhomie of Trump and Musk. And so what we have now with these two is when their relationship failed because there's not enough room for two such persons, and there's not enough power to share. And so because of that, Trump had to ask him to go, but I think Trump had to ask him to go because he was a very persuasive voice that the tariffs made no sense, particularly since they were going to hurt him, Musk, in connection with his EV cars. And it also is a fair concern about hurting the domestic market. And it's a fair concern for any conservative Republican to increase the deficit, which has been a rallying cry, which they believe in more than they believe in some other things that are not connected to the dollar sign. So what we have is, somebody the other day mentioned a book I like, Confederacy of the Dunces, and we have some of that. But the trouble is, you can be wrong and stupid and hateful and still be a burden on everybody else. And that's what Trump is. So day by day, they try to break our spirit by having a book of executive orders that they can always cloud the public debate by releasing them and getting groups upset and hiding other failures in the Trump administration. But these failures will not be ignored because they're going to move from talk to effect to action. And people are going to be hurt and they're going to scream. And Trump is going to say, oh, it's Biden is responsible. And I guess Trump's game is to protect interests he has with these high tariffs and those who are his friends, and scratch his head and say, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. I was going to reduce inflation in a day. I was going to close off the big fight in Ukraine in a matter of hours. Just let me in there and I'll do it. But for some reason, it's sort of like the husband who beats the wife all the time and she stays in the relationship. And there are a fewer number that go the opposite way. And Trump is beating up the sister because so far, he's going for persons of color. He's going for people that he thinks have dissonant affectional preferences, the LGBTQ persons. He looks at anybody who's ever been in this country and been approved to be here, and he erases their ability to be here, and then he just claims they don't have documents, and without proving anything, he gets them out of the country fast to places that are unacceptable. So, okay, that's a pretty depressing litany, and it's true. But what do we have on our side? Below the Supreme Court, which gets worse every opinion they make, below the Supreme Court, we have a lot of appellate judges and district court judges in various geographic areas in the country who listen to good arguments, like Harvard saying, hey, what are you doing here? This is just because they're anti-intellectual. This is because they don't want a vibrant First Amendment in the country. And if they were sincere that there's something wrong about the foreign students we were getting, why wouldn't they bar them for every other university in America? And why, if we believe in the separation of church and state, do we have a Supreme Court saying, yeah, it's okay to have a tax exemption for Catholic charities? Really? And how do you, and they all voted for that, by the way. So we have our task cut out for us, but we have the allies, and we have some more outspoken people on the Hill, and things happening at different hearings. And now the wild card is, I suppose, what Musk will do. And I hope he has a good security force, because I believe that being anywhere near Trump is like being in a mob setting in which one organized crime family goes after another. And these two have been struggling for the metaphorical equivalent of tutti capo. So that's my observations today. I had drilled down images in my mind of several things that are happening, but they all basically boil down to offensive actions to break our spirits when we should be sending out $10 if we can to the ACLU or some other Google group that we could give services and support to attorneys general across America who are resisting these things, that we can make sure the judges are protected and that they are able to formulate injunctions despite this huge terrible bill that Trump wants. Kill Bill, that's it. That's what it should be, and that's what it will be if we keep our shoulders to the grindstone. So those are my observations in my damp and Well, I said, boy, they say the women don't in the South don't sweat. They have a mist about them. So I have a mist about me right now, and I'm going to miss you guys until tomorrow. So all the best. Good evening. Bye-bye.